Good morning, we're at Simpson Valley Fishery this morning in Devon, and I'm going to run through a few tips that will hopefully help your fly casting. Tip number one is to look at your stance and get nice and relaxed with your arm fairly close to your side. What you want to avoid, and this is tempting if you've done other kinds of fishing first, is getting the arm out from the body and what you call a throwing action like that. The further your arm is away from your body, the messier it gets, so instead just nice and relaxed but tuck it in. In fact, when I was taught to fly fish, the instructor said, imagine you've got a bottle of whiskey under your arm. I'm not sure I like that fully because you don't want it clamped like you're going to drop a bottle of single malt, but just nice and relaxed and by your side. Much smoother casting that way. Just look out for that, the arm creeping away from your body because it gets less and less tidy as you do that. So just relax the arm and keep it at ease but by your side. Tip number two is to watch the position of the rod with your wrist. You want the rod to be nice and tight to your wrist like this. Like the old cliche, the rod is an extension of your arm. You're avoiding doing this. I'm exaggerating slightly, but when a lot of people start, they'll do that. And a really good tip here, if you're struggling with that, to keep it really nice and straight with your arm, you can do one of two things. You can tuck it in like that, or you can even get a rod wrap and put it around your arm to keep it tighter. But just try and avoid that rotation. We're not looking for that, you see what happens right away. We're looking for that and not that. That's when you're going to lose the momentum in your cast, as you can see. Tip number three is to get nice clean stops behind you, and what I mean by that is the rod should stop nice and clean and dead on like that. If I let that drift or go too far back, you can see the line starts to lose all its momentum, so always helps to look over your shoulder as well. So we want a nice clean stop and then the line will follow through. Tip number four is watch your false casts. We all love putting the line through the air, it feels nice, but you don't need 4, 5 or 6. So really good rule here, if you're making a short cast, limit yourself to a maximum of 2 false casts, and if you're making a long cast, a maximum of 3 false casts. It's a good discipline to get into. It just means you'll spend more time fishing and less time casting, and so often the cast goes wrong when you just try and push it that one extra. So limit yourself to a maximum of 3 false casts. Tip number 5 is invest in a quality line. In all honesty, the fly reel is not all that important compared with a really good quality line, and today we've got a Cortland 444, which is a really nice floating line. Keep it in good nick as well, you know, don't just chuck it in the back of the car. You just wash it in nothing more than warm water after every other trip. It'll last you a good long time. And if it's getting old and a bit skanky, replace it and treat yourself, because that line is really important. Final tip for you, practice really does make perfect with casting, so go and practice whenever you can. You don't even need water to do this, you'll get funny looks, but you can go and do it down in your local park. I've got a fly here with the point nipped off, so obviously no danger of catching anyone or catching anything behind me. And the other last thing I'd say is if you get any chance to, either get someone to watch your casting, or you can even do it with a mobile phone and actually record yourself casting, and that way you can pick out any little faults or anything you feel like you could do better. And with any practice, it's always best to concentrate on one thing at a time, whether that's making a clean stop or the forward cast. Concentrate on one thing at a time and really watch yourself and what you're doing, because that's going to help you cast better. Well, hopefully that's given you a few useful tips to work on with your casting. Above all, practice makes perfect when you're trying to improve what you're doing. So treat yourself to a nice line, watch what you're doing. And final tip, really important, work on just one thing at a time. If you can isolate just one thing you want to improve, because there's a lot going on with a cast, then that's a great way just to keep sharpening up what you do. One thing at a time, keep practicing, and hopefully you'll be casting smoothly in no time.